So now I'm going to start here with my white and my blue. Now today I'm doing acrylic, even though I'm doing a larger painting. I just want to do a larger painting. But it is acrylic, because I think the acrylics are going to just be really good today. Really good for what we want to do. I've got my canvas already misted with water. I'm going to take just a little more red here, throw into that blue so it's not quite so shiny. I'm going to begin right up here at the top and quickly drop in my sky. The reason, of course, I'm doing acrylic, and you already know by the thumbnail exactly what I'm doing, but there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of little things. There's not a lot of big things. Everything in this painting is smaller. Mountain is small. The trees are all very small. There's nothing that I see that's terribly large. And I think it's just gonna be that much easier for me to get all the little intricate details if this thing just dries and I'm able to put my hand on it and do layering and not have to worry about it all becoming a big mud slick. Now, if you wanted to do this in oils, I might suggest even letting it dry. Maybe do the first half and let it dry if you want to do that, or do it all in one day and see how it goes. But just for me, just based on the look and feel of the reference photo, and actually, by the way, I should mention that I'm going a little different today. I'm actually going off of a real photo, not just a made-up scene, a real photo. Actually, a good friend of mine, new friend of mine, Robert Pears. That's his photo. Very wonderful photographer, actually wonderful guy. I enjoyed very much talking to him. And anyway, he let me use his picture. So thank you very much, Robert. I gotta say, this is gonna be a fun one. This is gonna be a fun one. This photo comes from Alaska. So, this is not somewhere I would be able to go very easily and get my own reference photo. So it's kind of fun to be able to do that. Oh, before we go, we should look at the paintings that you guys did of my last one. Remember to share using the hashtag and information there on the screen. If I see your painting in time, I will get it in the next video. It's always fun to see what a wonderful job you guys are doing. It's encouraging, isn't it? To see everybody else's progress, and it is fun. It is fun to see. Well, my blue sky area is totally dry, and I went ahead and at least mapped in my mountains. They'll probably go back over them again and adjust tones and shapes a little bit. Okay, that's kind of not the point. Right up here is the first kind of cloud area. And I'm gonna lay down some yellow and white. This is one of those things I thought, okay, it's gonna be really hard in oil to put a blue sky underneath a white or the yellowy white cloud. It's going to be challenging, so that's why one of the reasons why I chose to do it like this. That's pretty though, and we need the warmth. We can't go without that warmth. That warmth is so pretty. It's a big part of the painting. I didn't want to leave that out. All right, up in here. This is going to be like a large mass of clouds, and it's totally fine to go back over this 2 or 3 times and layer if you need it to be brighter. Layer that acrylic up. Okay. So we got our mountain here, and I want just another little, right here, another little bit of cloud coming through. Leave that space open, have it connect up. Oh, good stuff. I love this round brush. This is my favorite for anything like this. Don't do anything to these clouds until they dry. Then you can go back in and make adjustments, because acrylics do not like to, you hear me say it all the time, acrylics don't like to be layered while they're wet. You know what I mean? If you don't know what I mean, give it a try. You'll know what I mean. There you go. Very good. Nice and soft, nice and soft. I'm going to be a little bit slow, but I'll go faster up here. This can be done very rapidly, but down here, I'm going to take my time, because this is where, the center of interest is. You're going to look at this painting, your eye's going to hit that mountain, bounce up to the clouds, something like that. And so, I want to put a little extra effort in this area. That's all, just a little. Well, now I'm going to bring in a little color, a little bit of this red, kind of this peachy, it's actually kind of a rusty peach red color, just sprinkled in and around. I'm going to get the important part done first, which is just these soft edges. Get those in, get them to where you like them, and then after that you can kind of work on the rest of it. I'm just gonna get this kind of soft edge going, but that looks pretty good. As I go up, darker. This is just our base tone to work from. You could use, honestly, we'd probably be better off using like a bigger flat brush to get a lot of this in, but now I'm going with this. I'm just gonna keep going. Just fill this in with this rusty tone. That works. A little bit of that yellow ochre in there, just to have that feeling of peach color. Just sprinkling color, just working with color at this point. Nothing too crazy just yet. We'll bring it up a little bit more with highlight. You know, there's some highlight, not a ton. There will be some. Now I'm going to begin to add in some of this orange highlight here on the left. Just scattering it through. This is, of course, dry. We may want to build up a couple of these layers, but you know, I don't actually see it being too bright here. It's not super bright. So I think this will be okay. As it comes down, it gets a little softer, so that looks pretty good. Making sure that I've got no sharp edges, but everything is pretty soft. Yeah, a little more yellow won't hurt anything. Have some amount of variety that way. Excellent. So just little by little here on the sky. Well, now I'm working in just the beginning stages of our tree line, very subtle to begin with. Maybe we'll work it in more and more distinct. Very subtle for now. We can build in more. Okay, so for now that's good enough. Let's take a little more, just my dark color here. And I'm gonna begin just to, not really paint trees, but just to work in some color here and establish kind of where my little ledge is gonna be. It's gonna be somewhere right in this area. Somewhere like that. And then again, just kind of fill that in. Not perfect, just get it filled in. It gives us something to work with. We'll pull our trees out from this. So that being said, I want to leave soft, the most important thing here is I want to leave very soft edges on the top so that I don't have anything that's going to show through in the final product as being kind of like a sharp edge. So everything's very, very, very soft. Now remember, it's very important to keep your paints misted, that way they won't dry out. I'm going to go ahead and transition. This isn't dry yet, but I'm going to transition down here into getting a little bit more of this land sort of in here at least. A little more vibrant in color. There we go. Not too much red. Red's a foreground color. There we go. I'm just trying to get something going back here. This is, I know it's going to look a little weird here to begin with, but I'm just going to begin throwing in color. That way I can pull out from my color the detail. At this point, I'm just working on my big dark patches. If you just squint your eyes and you sort of throw this in, you know, you're just focusing on the bigger shapes, not worried so much about anything else, just those big shapes. Up in here is a little bit of a rolling foothill, and we'll attempt to add further trees to that. Okay, I think we got this going. For the most part, that's about right. A little messy, but pretty good. A lot of water. You can just grab some water and whatever paint and just fill this in with a wash. It wouldn't hurt to, once this is all dry, to go back over this with a little bit of foundation medium to kind of lock it in since there's so much water in there. Well, now that this is dried, I can put my hand on it. I'm going to actually begin up here placing in just a little detail to this mountain. Actually, the snow is fairly light, fairly bright. That looks good. Give it a little finger blend there, not too much. A little, you can see here's my color here, a little warmth in it, but it's pretty well white when you put it up on the canvas. It looks just about white. You know, that's it right there. Just quick slashes of this color. And if I'm really not going to try to go too far with this, just to, you know, get enough on here where it looks like you got some snow action and then call it a day, not critical because it's so far away. But trying to stay as accurate as possible to the picture, which is why you see I'm not going crazy here where we maybe normally would go a little crazier. I'm being a little more reserved and I'm not being so wild. Isn't that nice? There. So for all you that like to paint super tight, this should be fun watching me do this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is kind of brush in just horizontally here, my little lake. Should go down and then across little lake in the background, or pond, puddle, whatever this is. There we go. Okay, and then we'll skip a space a little bit there. Yeah, that's good. It's not critical. It's not. It's just so far away. That looks pretty good though for what I think we need to accomplish with it. There's my color. You get a little more highlight you would expect to see. And it's just kind of reflecting some of the blues that are going on in the sky. And just a little bit. That will just barely be showing probably behind those trees. Won't be showing much, so I'm not super concerned with it. I'm going to begin to add just a little of the color from the land here to the base of the mountain. Of course, that indicates little bits of grass growing up the mountain. You know, you would expect to see that. That looks about right. Very subtle. Otherwise, I think it'll just become overpowering. We don't want overpowering. We want just subtle. Yeah, that's good enough, just enough. If people look closely at the painting, maybe they'll notice, maybe they won't. It's all good with me. Yes, there's my color, kind of just a muddy color. Nothing too intense at all. This is mostly in shadow. Just a touch here and there. Well, now I'm gonna drop in, just by touching, maybe we'll go this way so you can see it. This is a little cumbersome, but at least you can see what I'm doing. I'm just tapping in, using the side of the brush there, my little trees. And that way there, now you can see it if I hold my brush far enough back. That way I'm just getting kind of my outline going, my tree line. If you go straight in, it kind of becomes blobby. If you go in on the side like this, so you let that brush texture do just all the work for you. You get these automatic trees without having to worry about it, which is really nice. So just spend a few minutes here. It's not super important. It's not critical yet. We are going to pick out some ones and be very careful with them and get some good detail on them, but you got to get at least the bulk of them in before you have anything to work with. You don't have anything to work with till you get at least a good amount of them in. You know, could you go through kind of like that and try to get them all in quickly? Yes, but then you wouldn't get the little details. And today I don't have something like a big tree to cover stuff, you know what I mean? Like everything is kind of out in the open. And so it has to be a little bit more neat and tidy the whole way through, at least when it comes to this sort of thing. Now you see this kind of muddy gray color. Actually, it's got a little warmth in it. I've got a little purple tone in it. And I'm using this to create my little bushes or dry shrubs, is what this really is. Up and along through this tree line, especially down in through here, and then a little bit over here. That's what we're gonna do with it. This is a good time to get it in. You know, I'm probably gonna try to highlight this some, not too much. This is the same thing as back here, but back here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna brush it, and that will give the indication of less texture, and it's more or less just puts in the color for me. And again, I'll highlight that. But see, that just brings, as you would expect it to be the same, kind of the same color, or similar color. It's not that far away from this, but I'm trying to get a little bit of depth going in the scene. So we do that with our textures getting larger as we move forward into this area. There we go, there's some highlight. So just take some white. I do like that idea of having a little touch of that purple in the highlight. A little almost on the red side, so that's kind of pretty. And you can put just a touch of yellow ochre in, not too much. Don't overmix it because those will kind of become a brown. But now I can just place in a little highlight. Of course, this is going to dry out just a little darker. But that's going to work. Well, now I've got kind of a soft green color, a little bit of yellow ochre in it. It's not too vivid. And that kind of goes well with the colors that we have going on in the sky and so on. This is just one of many. We'll have to do several shades, but I'm going to begin picking out some evergreen trees in here. When it comes to these like big clumps, you pretty much just have to kind of figure out where you want your trees and begin highlighting in there. Obviously, they're not that big. You know, this even here is like 3 layers of trees. So we'll just have to go with it. There's our light source. And just begin touching and dragging. There. We'll start slowly to begin with, you know. You can always add more. You can always add more. Of course, you can always come back and take away. So it's just anything. It's really no big deal at this point. Just getting us a little bit of color. It doesn't take that much to get the overall effect, at least on these background trees. Now, there is no quote foreground trees. I mean, they're maybe that big. It's like that one. They're not that big. So it's just the way it is today. Nothing, huge coming in from the side or anything like that. It's okay, keep that in mind as you're doing this. Keep everything to scale. At least that's kind of what I'm focusing on now, okay? Everything needs to stay in scale. It would be easy for me to just get going and get way too large. So I'm gonna be very careful to go small here. Now I see a couple things that I want to do, but before I do them, I'm going to go ahead and drop in just a little bit of liner brush work, some dead limbs and so on growing from here, which is always good. It adds some realism. That's always welcome. Excellent. I've been looking at this and I've been thinking this for a while, just haven't really decided when I need to do it, and I'm going to do it here very soon. I'm going to, let's get some of this in here. I'm going to go ahead and just take a little bit, I'll show you how to do it, a little bit of paint, just brush over the, some of these trees and stuff, just a little, not much, just a little. I won't ruin anything, but it'll make things fit in the painting. It'll help things kind of be a little more cohesive and so on. And I think you'll like it. So I'm just throwing it out there. I can take just a little bit and begin to work in a blade of grass here and there, down here, just enough, not a ton, but it shows a little. I don't want this to become distracting where you look down here first. That would be kind of sad. We'll just put enough in where it doesn't look like we missed it, if you know what I mean. So now it's actually the same color as my palette here, but I've just got a little wash mixed up on my round brush. It's mostly water. It's like 90% water, 10% paint. And right in through here, I'm going to begin washing over my very dry trees. Obviously, you would not want to do this unless your trees were very dry, like mine are. That's obvious, but it only takes you once to mess that up. You never do it again. There. What am I doing? Just softening, barely. I mean, this may take 2 applications, even 3. I'm just barely softening, and I'm working this mist or just softness just in and around, very subtle. Are you going to notice it? Probably not. Will you? But overall, you'll notice the effect. You know what I mean? You won't say, "Oh wow, look how pretty that mist is," or "Look at that soft." No, you're not going to. But you are going to notice overall. You know what I mean? Especially, I'm going to hit the bottom of the trees. Soften where they meet the land. And again, this may take 2 applications and so on to get it just the way you want it to go. It always goes on a little more sharp, a little more, it goes on like you can see it real good, and then it dries out kind of transparent. So that's why it may take a couple rounds, but that's pretty. It just separates that a little. Should we do? Yes, we should. Let's do a little bit back up in here. I can even do it on this mountain. Just a touch. I mean, it's subtle, but that's okay. It gives it a little atmosphere. Oh, I love acrylics. You can do this sort of thing. With oils, you'd have to not do it this way. There. Even a little bit up and through here, just a hair to soften some of these where I'm noticing it's a little harsh there at the bottom. Soften it. And then this is a dry brush blending or glazing technique. That's what I'm doing right now. Well, that about wraps up this painting for today. It was pretty fun seeing how to paint from a photo. It's a little bit different. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. That helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.